WOCA.
Ocala.
All right, 24 minutes now before 10 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. It is 78 degrees here at the Paddock Mall. Thank you again. My dad was a New York City police officer, and I've shared that with our listeners many times before. And I remember when I was just a little kid, he'd come home and he'd take apart his gun and he'd clean it, and I'd watch him clean his gun. And every once in a while, I would ask him, "Did you shoot anybody today, Dad?" I don't know what I thought he did, but I mean, he has a gun. You would think he was shooting people all the time.
Yeah, that's what they do in the movies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's a great point, Robin, because that's kind of, even though I was a police officer's son, I mean, I really had no idea what life was like for them. When I got older, my dad told me I've heard him tell stories. I don't know if he told them to me, but I heard him tell some stories. I remember, well, I don't want to tell you any of the stories, but it just occurred to me in listening to the stories that, holy cow, there were times in my life, because this was already after I was an adult, so hearing some of these stories and then thinking back about him coming home and then, eating dinner with us or whatever, and then, going outside to play or to put the swimming pool up, or we had this, suburban New York home, that whatever the worst of humanity had to show him that day was something he didn't share with us. It was just something he did. The worst of humanity is who our police and law enforcement and even our firefighters have to deal with. The worst of humanity. It's just a fact of life. Or the folks who run the jails, etc. Mm-hmm. Herman L. Hinton is on the phone. He retired after serving the Birmingham Police Department for 30 years. Wow. He just retired last year, it says here, 2013. He was a position Deputy Chief of Police for the Birmingham Police Department. I assume that means Birmingham, Alabama. Am I right? Mm-hmm. He commanded the Homicide Department unit. So, gosh, he went home with some stories that probably, we'll ask him, did he kind of keep them under wrap? And now he's retired, and the writer in him has come out. He's written a book called Hidden Relationships of the Homicide Detective. I can't wait to hear about this. It is described as a novel, but we've invited him to be with us the whole half hour simply because I'm sure this man has more stories than the pen will ever reveal, or the typewriter, or the word processor. Herman Hinton. Good morning, Herman.
Good morning. How are you, Larry?
I'm pretty good. Where are you? Are you in Birmingham right now?
Yeah, I guess I'm about. I live about 20 miles east of Birmingham, in a little place called Trustville, Alabama.
Oh wow, that's a nice area up there. And you got that beautiful accent too. Is that where you grew up?
Oh yes, sir. Absolutely. Homegrown.
Oh, wow. So am I right? I mean, I don't know if being right is the question, but I mean, did you have the same experience where you would deal with the worst that people have to show, and then you had to go home to your family?
No doubt about it. The worst of the worst, but and I tell people all the time, it's a calling. Everyone can't do this job, being a police officer. Then you have police officers that can't handle being homicide investigators or working robbery, so we have, different units within the department, and it really takes a person with a special agape, I would call it, to work homicide.
Special agape, I like that.
Yeah.
Does agape mean love?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the love that God has for us, and that as Christians we should have for others. Mm-hmm. You have to be able to sit that suspect down, and irrespective to what they've done, you've got to take your emotions out of it, and you have got to kind of play on their sympathy, if you will, because your job is to try to find the truth.
So I want to come back to that, but let me ask you about the author in you. When did the author awaken?
Well, actually, in 2005, my first book was a spiritual book, designed to inspire, called "Life is So Simple When We Choose to Love God's Way." I was off work for about 6 months after an accidental gunshot that broke my tib and fib in my right lower leg, and so God just put it on my heart at that time, that I wasn't going to be idle. He had something for me to do. So that's when the writer in me actually came out.
Oh, wow.
Of course, my novel, I started it about a year before I retired. Hidden Relationships of the Homicide Detective.
Okay, so now the next question would be about the word relations. What kind of relations are we talking about?
Well,
relationships.
Actually, these are relationships that the homicide detective had within the job. When you look at the book, the cover, the title of the book, you would think in terms of him out here, playing the field and doing some things that were unscrupulous, more or less. But once you get the book and read it, you'll see that. And I was just laughing all over when you were talking about your dad was a police officer, because the novel is actually about it's the son of a premier homicide investigator.
Is that right?
Out of fear that his dad is having an affair, he delves into his dad's secret connections, and he learns more than he bargains for about life, about loss, and about kinship. It's a mild novel that takes place in modern day Alabama.
Oh, wow. And so our first thought in hearing the title is that the relationships are like affairs with, I would assume mostly women. Most police officers are men, although not all. But it's not just that, huh? It's about the other relationships as well?
Absolutely. Because, and there's no way for you to be a homicide investigator or any kind of investigator and not develop relationships with people. And it just, and the other thing that you touched on, what he actually finds out is that how his dad actually tries his best to keep his work separate from his personal life.
And did that come from you? I mean, that sounds like something. I'm guessing you went through that and had to do that by necessity. You didn't want to mix. And you're a married man with children, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
So when your children were little, I mean, you might have come from a terrible homicide case. You just saw the worst of humanity again, and you've got to go home and have lunch and play with the kids. Yeah,
that's true. You've got to be able to separate them. After a while, your family kind of know what to expect, because a lot of times when I would go out on a homicide scene, and come home, would have worked a homicide during the day. When I come home, my family already know about it because it's all over the news, and naturally, friends of your kids are going to be asking them about it, and your wife, her colleagues, are going to be asking her. She's going to be calling you and want to know what happened. And, she knows this person, or she knows somebody that knows the suspect or whatever. So it's just kind of difficult just to come home and just pretend that nothing happened during the day, because most of the time they're going to already know before you get home.
Oh, your wife must have been a special lady.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. She knew that this was my passion. So
wow.
She just kind of fit right in.
Herman, we are up against the break, so I have to kind of pause right now while we can take a little breath, and we've got weather and a couple of commercials, but we'll come back. Okay. I sometimes when we have novelists, I just do this 10 minutes and that's it. It's really not fair to a novelist to talk so much about the book, because you want to save it for the reader. Mm-hmm. But in your case, you've got such a wealth of a background to draw from, and I'm just so fascinated by what you've done. But we want to be fair to the book also, so that's why we kind of gave you a whole half hour. So let's go to the weather and the few commercials, and then we'll be right back with our guest, Herman Hinton, Herman L. Hinton.
Yes. By myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. For today, more clouds and sun with a couple of heavy thunderstorms around, especially this afternoon with the interior. The high today, 89 to 93. Partly cloudy skies tonight. There can be a thunderstorm in parts of the area near the coast this evening. The overnight low 72 to 76. For tomorrow, partly sunny with a couple of showers and a thunderstorm from late morning on. The high tomorrow, 87 to 91. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Let's face it, nowadays it can be hard to find American-made products, and that's something that Cabinet Sales of North Florida is well aware of. That's why they're an authorized dealer of Wellborn Cabinetry, family-owned and American-made since 1961. Cabinet Sales of North Florida is your answer for complete turnkey kitchen remodels and whole house cabinetry. Their cabinets are finished with solvent-based enamels for a long-lasting finish that's second to none. Available in an incredible selection of door styles and colors to choose from to turn your dream kitchen into a reality. In-house design and drawing services are available. Come by and see our displays for yourself at the Floors of the Villages, 3935 County Road 216 in Oxford, or Exquisite Design Kitchen and Bath in Bellevue, right across the street from the Bellevue Library. So whether you're looking for bookcases, kitchen, bath, or outdoor kitchen, Cabinet Sales of North Florida is your one-stop source of quality cabinets. For a free estimate, call 352-427-2647. That's 352-427-2647. Cabinet Sales of North Florida.
Stay informed on everything going on in the Villages with the Village Spectator newspaper. The Village Spectator is exclusively devoted to the Villages with news, commentary, and more. And yes, they have Tom's Picks, a free referral for people who are looking for a company to do work for them. Tom's Picks will refer the company that fits your needs, and all we ask is that you tell them where you heard about them. Call Tom's Picks at 804-1223 and pick up your copy of the Village Spectator today.
Now read Ocala Downtown newspaper online.
Hi, I'm Yvette, and I'm here to tell you a few things about ABC Frederick's Appliance. They sell not only new, but used guaranteed appliances. When you call ABC Frederick's Appliance, they will provide service on what they sell and any appliances that you own. ABC Frederick's Appliance is located in Bellevue, right over the railroad tracks. Call 352-629-5181. That's 352-629-5181. That's 352-629-5181. ABC Frederick's Appliance.
News Talk 1370 WOCA invites you to discover your full business potential. News Talk Radio is the perfect environment for your advertising. WOCA's News Talk format pinpoints information-hungry, better educated, high-income adults. So use us to talk to them. Call 732-8000. 732-8000. We're Ocala News Talk Radio. News Talk 1370 WOCA.
All right, thank you. 12 minutes now before 10 o'clock. Let's rejoin Herman L. Hinton. He's on the phone. His new book is called Hidden Relationships of the Homicide Detective, and he would know because he was a homicide detective. He was a deputy chief of police for the Birmingham Police Department. He served there for 30 years, retired just last year, and he commanded the homicide department unit for more than 8 years. So let's talk a little bit about the book, and I've got so many more questions about his work as a police officer. Herman, I hope I didn't lose you. You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
By the way, I went to your Facebook page. I guess that's you. It says Herman Hinton Birmingham, so that must be you.
That's me.
I clicked on the thing that says "Become a Friend" or something. So tell me about the book. Is there a did you develop characters, or is the main character you, or tell me about the book itself.
No, the characters are these all believable characters, and each one of them tell a morality tale of sort regarding how life choices can bring on either honor or disaster. You know, these are all believable characters that I simply developed, and it has nothing to do with any of the cases that I worked.
I got you.
It's just something that I put together, and it's recommended for, I would say seniors in high school, college students, as well as all other adults. You know, there's something for everybody about us being careful and particular about the choices and the decisions that we make in life and how they can affect not only us but others for an entire lifetime.
Do you know, you've already let us know that you are a Christian man, and in the Lord's Prayer we ask God to lead us not into temptation. And I've often thought that I think I get led into temptation a lot. So I think in the course of our lives, temptation presents itself, and it's how, I mean, you kind of just said it, it's how you deal with that temptation that is the real issue here. Not that it won't be there, just that how you deal with it, right?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Like my mother, used to always tell us when we were growing up, the only thing that's going to come out of you is what's in you. And you got this. We also have this moral compass, and And if because we as police officers, we're tempted with so much stuff all the time, you know, and you have just got to be. And that's why I go back to what I said earlier. You know, you've got to have a calling for this job. You know, because
Wow.
the pay is not that great. It's okay. You can make a living. It's not that great. So if you're in it for money, you're in it for the wrong reason. So it's about helping others, you know, and you've got to have that. That's something that you don't just pick up today and lay down tomorrow. It's something that you're born with, you know. And I've always loved helping people. I've always rooted for the underdog.
Wow. I mean, how many times did you? I mean, you know what comes to mind? I hope you don't mind me bringing up a TV show, but years ago. And I don't know if you remember this or not, but the show All in the Family, Archie Bunker was this, you know, a normal, I guess you'd say, average guy in New York, whatever. And he was in love with his wife, Edith. But there was one episode where he went to some kind of a convention or something, and there was this attractive woman, and she was hitting on him, and he was being affected by it. And the episode shows him this close to kissing her, and then he says, "No, I'm not going to do it." And it was, to me, it was such a great illustration of how we, at least us guys, I can't relate to being a woman, but I mean, as a police officer, it must happen all the time. There is a certain thing that women are attracted to with that uniform, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, Robin said, "Yeah, right away."
I have no hesitation in that.
See, Robin had no problem.
Yeah, because you can take the average Joe and put him in a uniform, you know, and there's some woman out there that's just right around the corner waiting, you know.
Wow.
The uniform has a lot to do with it. It really does.
So do you explore that?
And then by the same token, I had at least one black elderly female, because you know about the turbulent 60s in Alabama, you know, she just kept staring at me. And so finally I went back to ma'am. I said, "Do you know me? Is there a problem?" She said, and she looked at me with a stern look on her face. She said, "Son, it's not you. It's just a dadgum uniform."
Oh,
she didn't.
gosh.
She didn't like you.
It brought back so many memories to her about what we went through here in
Right.
the 50s and 60s,
Well,
you know.
but you joined the force. I'm just doing the math. 83.
Yes, sir. I did. 1983.
And how was Birmingham at that time with the racial relations?
We were still kind of transitioning, but it definitely wasn't as prevalent as it was prior to that. I experienced some, but not as much, you know. And I think that in 1983 we were pretty much over the hump. And that was a good time to become a police officer. I think when I joined, we only had 3 black ranking officers at that time. We had 3 lieutenants.
So I can understand her. I mean, if she was an older lady and she went through that, and it was basically black people versus policemen, and all the policemen were white, I can understand her being a little bit taken aback by you being in a uniform.
Yeah, absolutely. It was almost as if, you know, she looked at me as being a traitor of sort, you know. But then I guess she didn't really think about the flip side, that was some of the very things that Martin Luther King, you know, died for.
Right.
For us to have a right, absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the most important facets of a police officer and his or her uniform is the safety factor, because a lot of children are taught in school from the time they can walk up to however old they are, that if they're in trouble or they think they need help, they always run to the person with the uniform. And that has to be a special relationship too.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about it. You know, because now the flip side of that, I've been, you know, on the scene or maybe working a moonlight job or something at a department store, and I would have you know, maybe a kind of a wayward child there, and the mother would say, you know, they're the police there. Now if you do that again, I'm gonna put the police on you. And you don't like them saying that, you know. So I would always go up and handle those situations, you know. But yeah, you're absolutely right.
Wow.
Absolutely.
So when you're working with a suspect and you have to get information from him or her, does your background help out? If you're a black guy or a white woman, or I mean, does any of that stuff? I mean, in your case, you're a black guy, but like, would you be able to get certain information from a certain suspect that I couldn't get, and vice versa?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And there are a lot of you can tell that there are a lot of black suspects who would prefer having a white male, perhaps, talking to him, but I think because Birmingham is a predominantly black area, that was just it's there are very few. You have to be very selective when you're choosing your detectives, because you got to be able to communicate.
Right.
If you can't communicate, you're not going to be a good detective. I know that the forensics has everything in the world to do with it, and it's probably the best tool that we have. But you've got to be able to communicate, and I think that just something about and not just communicate, but you got to know the streets. And that's why you have to spend a certain amount of years in the streets before you become a detective.
So do you think that, yours is so authentic? Your ability to write and also your background, those two elements coming together make your writing about a homicide detective more authentic than, let's say, the typical Hollywood writer. Could you foresee this becoming something of interest to a filmmaker or TV show person?
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned that. Matter of fact, I went to Las Vegas back in April, I believe it was, and I did a movie pitch for the book. And I got some takers, and a screenwriter has already been assigned and has, as a matter of fact, last week finished up the screenplay.
Oh, wow!
And I've been reviewing it, trying to see if any changes, and they're just waiting on me to give it the nod.
Oh, wow!
Yeah, absolutely.
And the protagonist is Detective Wilcox. Is that right?
Yeah. Detective Sergeant Terrell Wilcox.
So that'll be the name of the movie. The movie will be called Wilcox.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it'll be something. It's definitely not going to be hidden relationships.
Right. Yeah, Hollywood will change it, but it won't. Hopefully, it won't change the story. Oh, that's great.
It's absolutely wonderful that you have the demeanor that you have, because all of the horrendous things that you've seen over the years and trying to make things right and influence people not to do bad things, you have really kept a great demeanor about you, which makes you an outstanding person and a huge mentor and good role model.
Well, thank you so much for that. Like I said, it's a calling. It's something that I knew that I wanted to do since a freshman in high school, and I was able to fulfill that dream.
Was there anything, Herman, that you put into the story that was a little too close to home for you, that you just... You wrote it, but you almost were... It was a painful experience to relive it by writing it?
No, I don't think so. There were a couple of unsolved cases, and of course I think about my first cousin, my dad's twin brother's daughter, who was killed back in 1993. We had a horrendous snowstorm. I don't think we've ever seen anything like, and hopefully we've never seen anything like that again. And it was snowstorm 1993. My cousin was killed, and and when there was a certain, a portion of the book that I was into, and I thought about her, because that's still an unsolved homicide.
Oh my gosh.
Oh wow. Oh, that's terrible. My goodness. The book is on Amazon. I just found it. Look for Hidden Relationships of the Homicide Detective. Of course, Herman L. Hinton is the author. And in addition to Amazon and all the other normal places, do you have a website for the book?
Yes, sir. You can go to my website, www.hiddenrelationships.com.
Okay. And Robin makes it easy. She already has that on our website. So for the listeners, just go to WOCA.com. You'll see Herman's name at the 9:35 slot for today. Thank you, Herman. Great chatting with you, and good luck with everything, and come back.
No doubt about it. Thank you, Larry and Robin. I appreciate you having me on. That
was great. All right, we will take a little break. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Fox News Radio, I'm Pat O'Neill.